Hey guys, this is Wallace from wallyflickss, and today I'll be showing you guys how I edit my photos in Lightroom Classic. Even if you have never edited a single photo before, or you just want to get better at it, this video is for you. I'll go over every single slider I use, explain what every single term means, and also talk about the differences between the free version of Lightroom and also the premium version of Lightroom. Just a quick note before we start, the free version of Lightroom Classic only works with JPEG photos and not RAW. That is perfect if you just take photos for fun, so that you don't need to pay for anything and you can still make your pictures look amazing. All of these photos right here have been shot on JPEG. I've never ever shot RAW before because RAW files just take up too much storage and I just don't have the devices to store them until recently. Even now I'm gonna still stick with JPEG because I take too many photos, right? Like, look at my gallery, how many photos I have. Okay, let's not go over those. But JPEG works perfectly for me. But if you're a more serious shooter, for example, you're shooting more important events, I would go for RAW. If you actually shoot RAW photos and you try to edit on Lightroom Classic, the free version, right? Then it actually does not allow you to open the file. So this is actually my friend's account. I had Lightroom Classic Premium before, but the subscription expired, so I don't have it anymore. Anyways, I'm gonna go through some editing styles and I'll teach you guys how to edit your photos. What photo should I use? Okay. I'm gonna use this picture as an example. So I took pictures for the Whitecaps Academy for one of their games, and I'm just gonna go over how I edit my workflow, like how my workflow is and how I edit all my photos. So one of the first thing I actually like to do is the S-curve. So right here, if you go to the editing bar and then you go to light, you'll see this curve thing right here. And what I like to do first is I like to press on that and then create an S-curve. S-curve is basically for people to add contrast and depth into their photos. What it basically does is it makes the darks a bit darker and the brights a bit brighter, which gives the image like a little more of a punch and makes it more dynamic without actually overdoing it. So I just moved the slider a little bit, and you see how this is like the letter S but not that much. So just play around with it, try to make it an S, and this is what actually makes your image look more important because all the colors are popping out more. Yeah, so I like to do it like this. Now let's go back out and you see the difference already. Before it's kind of like blend, right? It's kind of boring, but once I add the S curve, the image already looks way more punchy. The second thing I do is I go over the exposure. So if you see right here, I'm gonna play around with it. So if the image is too dark, you wanna brighten it up a bit. If it's too bright, then you want to lower the exposure. And in this case right here, I feel like the image is a little too bright, so I'm going to lower this just a little bit, not that much. So probably here is good. And then I like to continue on my editing with contrast, which it makes darker darks darker and the lighter lights lighter. So yeah, as I said before, it helps the image pop out. If you slide it too high, right, it just looks too harsh. So a little adjustment usually work. I like to boost it up a bit. One mistake I see a lot of beginners photographers make, right? They like to put their contrast like so high, which makes the photos like it just looks too edited. Like it doesn't look good. This is a mistake I also made when I first started out like with photography. I thought that boosting up the contrast will actually make my photos look a lot better, which was not the case, right? So yeah, I'm gonna move it up a little bit, and now I'm going to go to the highlights. The highlights are very important and it basically affects the brightest parts of the photo. So if the sky is too bright, for example, lowering the highlights can actually bring back the details. So this picture right here, if I didn't remove the highlights, you see how here it's kind of too white. So I like to bring it down a little bit. Do you see how much it changed? Like the highlights can really affect the image, and people say that JPEG actually makes your photo like very bad for editing, which is not the case if your lighting is already good enough, right? Like my original photo is already pretty good, so I believe that just a slight change of editing won't actually affect the image quality that much. So yeah, I like shooting with JPEG. So this highlight looks pretty good. Now moving on to my shadows. Shadow is the thing that controls the dark areas. Lifting the shadows can reveal details in the darker parts, which you see right here. See, the darker parts behind the subject actually gets lighter, right? And you also see that the hair, like it was pretty dark before, but if I raise up the shadows, you'll see the hair like more detail-y. I like to keep it around here, and this looks pretty good. Yep, that's perfect. And for white, it just adjusts the brightest part in the image, and black adjusts the darkest. So these are just like fine-tuning contrast. I use them to make the photo pop without overdoing it. Yeah, one advice I'm gonna give all of you guys is that when you're editing your photos, don't like put the slider too high. Just adjust it by a little bit unless you really need to, because usually what happens when you do too much is that the photo looks so unrealistic that it's like not even normal, unless that's your style you're going for, right? Okay, now I'm gonna go on to color. For coloring, you can see this option right here. There's black and white, right? If you want to do that, then sure, go for it. But usually I don't like to play with these temperature slides unless it's like a sunset. For most of the photos, I like to go to color grading and then go to the last part first to get the whole idea of how, the color you want your image to look like. In this case, I like to add a little bit of yellow or green to it because it's a soccer match, right? I feel like this looks pretty good. You don't want to do too much, as I said before, because I see some people color grading so much that their photos look so unrealistic and so off. And then now you go to the highlights of the part of the image. So you guys probably know what highlights are. As I said before, it affects the background basically. I want it to be green, so I'm gonna put it as green, a little bit of green. Also, if you guys have an Apple Pencil, it's gonna be a little bit easier to do these, right? This is before and after. You see how much difference I made just by color grading, but it's not over. Now for the mid-tones, I like it to be a little bit orange to show the skin and pop it out a little bit more, right? And then now lastly for shadows, just play around with it and just use whatever color you like. In this case, I like it to be a little bit orange. Looks pretty good, or green. Yeah, I would go with green. So it doesn't really matter what you do in the color grading part. You just use whatever color you would like, and your whole idea is what makes you stand out and be unique, right? So after this, you see the difference already. Okay, now for color mix. I usually only touch color mix when I don't like the color of the image. So if you see the green right here, if you move the hue up a little bit, it's gonna like change color, right? You see the, okay, focus on the turf area of the field, right? If I move it up, it's gonna look more green, and if I move it back down, it's gonna look less green. But in this case, I like it to look green, so I'm gonna just play around with it and move up the saturation, because I feel like it looks better when the field pops out a little bit. Oh, this is actually pretty cool, but yeah, no, we're not doing that. Okay, I'm gonna move up luminance. You can think of this as the brightness of the image. I like to keep it around here. It looks pretty good. And yeah, that's basically it for coloring. If you guys have any questions, you can also ask me in the comments. But right now I'm gonna move on to effect. For texture, before I like to put so much texture and so much clarity, it kind of looks like this. That's usually the style that not a lot of people love. So what I do for most of my photos is that I move the texture and clarity down just by a little bit, because I feel like this makes the photo more dreamy. If you can see in this case, right, it looks kind of more dreamy, right, and more appealing to look at compared to the one I just showed you. So yeah, move your texture and clarity down a little bit. And for dehaze, I don't usually do this unless the image is like not popping off or something. Yeah. And now for vignette, I love vignette. I usually use this for subjects that are in the middle of the image, so that it can make your image pop a little bit more, because all the lighting is focusing on the center of your subject. In this case, I'm gonna use a little bit. Usually I like to do vignette in the masking area, but since I only have the free version, right, I can't really do much with the masking. So vignette, I like to put it down a little bit, focus on the main subject, the main area, and just play around with it. These are the usual settings I like to do, and yeah, just play around with it, go with what you like. This looks pretty good right now. This is before and after, and you already see that the image actually looks way better than before. I'm gonna put this up a little bit and also move the highlights down. Okay, now it looks way better. So before, after, this looks way more cinematic, right? I'm gonna boost the contrast up a little bit too. You can always go back and change your adjustments on your photo. So this is what I like right now, and let's go on to detail. I don't usually deal with this unless the photo is really not sharpened, or when the photo has too much noise. I like to put noise reduction. But this photo, it doesn't look like there's any grain or anything like that, so I'm just gonna keep it like at 8, okay? So this right here, if you see on the left side of the image, that is the Lightroom histogram. It basically shows the tone and the range of the image with shadows on the left and highlights on the right. So most people use these to edit their photos, but I usually don't really care about that and just go with whatever style I like. I'm kind of like basic. I love playing around on Lightroom and just try new things out, and this picture already looks pretty good, man. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I feel like the green is too much, so I can just, you know, move down the saturation by like a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna go over the benefits of having Lightroom Classic Pro. So I actually had this for a couple months because my friend lent me his account where he was in yearbook for our school, so he had the pro version. And here's what you miss out when you have the free version. The first thing you miss out is masking, which is over here. Masking will let you adjust specific area of the photos. For example, it's basically like vignettes, but you can do whatever you would like. You can adjust the brightness on a specific part of the photo. So for example, I want to make the boots like more pop out. I can literally mask it around and make it brighter. In the free version, you can't do that. Like, this is why Lightroom Premium might be worth it if you're a professional photographer, because you can adjust literally any part of the photo, their lighting, brightening the sky, or darkening a person's face if that's what you like. The next thing you're missing out is the AI tools. The AI tools can enhance image automatically with their AI function, and they can also remove small distractions. Okay, so look at this. I edited this photo when I had premium, and this is the before. You see how there's so many distractions behind it, right? Like the log, the boat, and the humans. If you want to remove that, you can basically circle it in Lightroom Premium and just remove it in 1 second, and it will look like this. So if that's something you want, then it might be worth it for you. Now look at this image over here. You see how good and pleasing this image looks. Looking at this photo over here, you see a distraction that there's 2 human beings here, right? If you want to remove it, you can just circle it and you can let the AI do its thing and it will be gone. So that will be gone in the photo. And also just to mention that Lightroom Classic only works on mobile, so it doesn't work on MacBook, right? I have iPad and phone, I have Lightroom Classic on those, but it does not work on desktops. So if you're on Mac and you do not want to pay for premium, right? What you can do is you can basically get other alternatives to Lightroom. For example, I have a friend who uses Darktable. That is one of the sites that's free, but it takes a lot more effort to actually learn because it's more complex. But it does basically everything Lightroom do. I'm too deep into that Lightroom and Adobe ecosystem for me to switch right now, so I do not want to switch. And also, I'm gonna talk about presets. So if you look at an image over here, let's say this photo, okay? You can actually make your own presets. You can choose presets too. I usually do not like to choose presets, like all these recommendation presets they have. I would never use them. Okay, I lied. I did use them like when I first started because it got me an idea, and it also showed me a guide of how they actually edited the photo to make it look like that photo, right? So the preset, you can actually create your own preset. I have a few presets right now. These are just boring presets. I have more presets on my other phone where that's actually the main presets I use. So you just edit your photo, like blah blah blah. I finished editing, and then you can go to this icon over here, the 3 dots on the top right. You press that and you can press create preset. You can make the name and then just press finish and you're ready with a new preset. What presets are good for is if you are, let's say you're working on a photo or a set of photos that you took in one single day. They're basically saved editing styles, and once you make a preset you can apply it to any photos to get the same look instantly. I usually like to make my own presets for consistent style across all my photos. And if you guys are interested in getting my presets, then let me know. Should I drop them? But yeah, I'm gonna go over another photo real quick just to show you guys another example. Okay, I'm gonna go over how I edited this photo. So I'm just gonna explain it one last time so that you guys remember in your head. That's one of my favorite photos I took this summer, and it's basically the photo that got me to 10,000 followers, because this reel went viral on my personal page on Instagram and also YouTube. So yeah, I really love this photo. Okay, this was the before, by the way. It looked pretty good before I edited this photo because the lighting was good that day, but it's just kind of dark. If you see right here, I started off by making an S curve as I always do. You don't have to like make the S like actually an S, just an idea. And then after that, I just moved on to my exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks. And then once I finished that, I went on coloring. I actually adjusted temperature because I wanted it to look a little bit more yellow. And let's see if I color mix. Yes, I did. So you see how the color, like the greens right here, at first I didn't really like the color of the greens and I wanted it to pop out more in the photo, so I added the saturation. Yes, I added the saturation, make it pop out more, and also adjust it based on my liking. And for yellows, you can see for saturation I bumped it up and I basically edited the color mix. And let's see if I color graded. Yes, I did. I color graded too. And this was in the summer, by the way. I had so much time in the summer and now I basically fell off on Instagram. Moving on to texture and effects. As I told you guys before, I like to keep my texture and clarity lower than it's supposed to be because this makes the photo more dreamy and soft, which is my kind of style, okay? Yep. Also at this time I had Lightroom Classic Premium, so if you see right here at the top of the photo, I actually added more light to make it like the sun is shining this way to the plane to make the plane pop out more, right? But yeah, I have no more Lightroom Premium. I'm broke right now. So that's it for today. I hope you guys learned a lot about Lightroom and editing in general. This can be applied into every single alternative app. If you want to see more videos like this, please comment down what you want me to cover next, and also I'll make it happen because right now I'm currently trying to grow up my YouTube channel and also just give more photography related advice to you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. I really need to get monetized on YouTube because I need money for my Lightroom Premium. That's it.